I think it's pretty clear that Putin is in the most difficult position he's been in his 25 years as president of Russia. There are a lot of rumours that Putin's going to have to announce a general mobilisation of 300,000 people next month. And the view is that is going to go down very, very badly in Russia. Well, we understand that the Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, who has just arrived in Kyiv in Ukraine today, which is also Ukraine's Independence Day, has directed that technical data from the British Storm Shadow cruise missile should be given to the Ukrainians so that they can start to assemble these cruise missiles along or in concert with the French. The French version of Storm Shadow is called Scalp. The French have already given permission for technical details to be used by the Ukrainians. So this is a really important step forward that Ukraine can start assembling and building these Storm Shadow cruise missiles in Ukraine. And these missiles have been incredibly effective at attacking key military sites and other Russian government institutions up to about 150, 200 miles into Russia. So very, very capable cruise missiles, and something that Ukraine has been asking for some time. So it's a good move. It's rather a shame this didn't happen sort of some time ago. But psychologically, I think will be a really big boost for the Ukrainians and also for the Russians, who will understand that they will be under more direct attack from these highly effective cruise missiles. It certainly gives it a significant advantage. What we've seen over the last couple of years is the incredible development of the Ukraine defence industry and their ability to wind up production, far quicker and far more effective than perhaps, we could do in the UK or elsewhere, because, they are at war, they're on a war footing. And one assumes that they'll be able to make a considerable amount of these cruise missiles. France has already, I believe, said that they will provide 300 of these missiles to the Ukrainians. And if they can start constructing and manufacturing themselves, then one would expect them to ramp up. I think the key thing is that these are highly effective cruise missiles. They hug the ground, so they're very, very difficult for the Russians to intercept. They have a very powerful warhead that actually can penetrate deep underground to destroy ammunition dumps and the like. So, yeah, they are a significant addition to the Ukrainians' military capability. Not least because the Russians know that they have great difficulty knocking them down. So, and I think, the underlying message, I'm sure, coming out of the coalition of the willing, led by the British and the French, is that other Western governments should follow suit. By manufacturing them in Ukraine itself means that the British defence industry, for instance, can concentrate on making weapons for the British military. And because these weapons will be manufactured in Ukraine, they're much closer to the front line, and one assumes that the Ukrainians will be able to make very many more of them. But yeah, I think the relationship between the UK, the French, and the other members of the coalition, the willing, are still absolutely crucial for Ukraine. And the meeting of all these leaders in Kyiv today is really a manifestation of that, and a statement by these leaders that they are still full square behind Ukraine in its battle with Russia. And of course, what everybody wants is a ceasefire as soon as possible and a just peace for Ukraine. And because Putin and the Russians have stated that they will keep on fighting on, actually these weapons are the sort of things that hopefully will mean that the Russians will have to stop fighting sooner rather than later. We've been participating in this war virtually since it started on the 24th of February 2022, well over 4.5 years ago. Britain has been providing tanks, been providing artillery, shells, and a whole host of other equipment, and has been providing Storm Shadow for nearly a year and a half, this cruise missile. So there is no difference, really. I mean, the Russians are trying to paint Britain as being one of the key aggressors, and I'm sure a lot of people saw that they withdrew their ambassador over the weekend, really in a statement. It was more to do with the fact that there are British drones being used by the Ukrainians to great effect to attack and destroy oil refineries and petrol refineries in Russia, which is having such an impact on Russian people. Russian people are getting sick of this war now. You know, if they can buy petrol, it's incredibly expensive. And there is a lot of dissent in the Russian press. And Putin has elections coming up in September. Although one expects them to be a complete sham, it is still very uncomfortable for Putin that people are starting to question exactly why he's doing and why he's extending this war. So anything that can be done to shorten it, I think virtually everybody apart from Putin will welcome it. But we have been in a hybrid war for Russia for some time. So I don't think anything particularly changes here. But of course, the propaganda and disinformation peddled by the likes of Peskov, the official spokesman of Russia, you would expect no less from him. There is no indication that there are actually going to be British personnel on these production sites helping to build them. I am sure the Ukrainians will, as much as possible, keep the production sites secret and keep them as well protected as possible. But yeah, as Ukraine is attacking Russian military capability and Russian factories where they're making missiles and munitions, one has to assume that Russia will try and do the same. But it's pretty clear that Russia's ability to collect intelligence is really way off what Ukraine has, particularly when Ukraine is supported by the Americans, the British, the French, and others. But yeah, of course, what one assumes that there will be a target if the Russians can find them. There are a lot of rumours that Putin's going to have to announce a general mobilisation of 300,000 people next month. And the view is that is going to go down very, very badly in Russia. They've already lost over 1.5 million casualties in this war. A lot of the elite and the middle classes in Moscow and St. Petersburg have not been affected too much by it, but it's believed that the general conscription will be absolutely aimed at the offspring of the rich and the middle classes, and one anticipates that they're going to take this very badly. So I think it's pretty clear that Putin is in the most difficult position he's been in his 25 years as president of Russia. And the hope by issues like Storm Shadow being built in Ukraine will be enough to make Putin see that it is futile to continue this war, and peace and a negotiated settlement is the best he can hope for.